Hi everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to be presenting today during International Students Day, College Week Life International Students Day, and also to be part of the honoring of International Education Week all over the world. My name is Bejana Kuzmanovska, and I work at the American Corner Bitola in Macedonia since 2008. I'm also an Education USA advisor at the American Educational Center in Bitola, which is part of a global worldwide network of Education USA advising centers that provide accurate, comprehensive, and reliable information about studying in the United States. Since 2010, I also work at our TOEFL testing center, and I work with students from all over Macedonia that need assistance and help in their application process for applying to colleges and universities in the States. So today I'm glad that I'll talk on the topic IELTS and TOEFL. What are the differences and what do you need to know? Please feel free to ask questions while I'm presenting, and I will be glad to answer all of your questions at the end of my presentation. IELTS and TOEFL are two most accepted English language tests worldwide in the world. So I will start presenting. I will start talking about these two tests in general, their abbreviations, what they mean, and then I'll go into further details about how these tests are similar in what ways and how are they different and how they can help students who plan to apply to U.S. Universities and colleges, but also they can help you apply for working purposes or immigration in some countries. So let me start by giving you general information about, first of all, TOEFL. The TOEFL exam, the abbreviation TOEFL means Test of English as a Foreign Language, and the TOEFL exam is divided into 4 sections. The same is the case with IELTS, and tests your ability to read, speak, write, and listen through multiple choice questions and written responses in specific academic, university, and classroom-based settings. According to the official TOEFL website, TOEFL is accepted by over 9,000 institutions in over 130 countries in the world, including UK, USA, and Australia, as well as by over 9,000, as well as by the world's top 100 universities. It is administered by the US-based organization called the Education Testing Service, and mainly uses American English vocabulary and accents. So it will be better to take it if you're more familiar with that speaking style. It lasts more or less for 4 hours. I'll talk more about this later on. And the test's scores range from 0 to 120 points. For the IELTS, or International English Language Testing Service, it is an English language test that is used for not only for educational but also for immigration and occupational purposes. And again, the same as TOEFL, is accepted by over 9,000 institutions all across 130 countries worldwide. It is created by 3 organizations: the British Council, the University of Cambridge, and IDP Education Australia. It is also accepted at institutions all over the world. So, as I mentioned, these tests stand for the most accepted English language tests that test your English proficiency. They have excellent international reputation and are accepted by, as I mentioned, over 9,000 organizations, including schools, universities, employers, immigration authorities, and professional bodies. The costs of these both tests are similar, so they range between $150 and $250, depending on the location and the test type. Both IELTS and TOEFL are usually a requirement for students from countries where English is not the primary language, and both tests are valid for 2 years. So this is again sharing information or about these tests that make them similar. As I mentioned, they have 4 sections, each of these tests, and test your English language proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So for the reading part, this is general information. This section in both tests is meant to test your basic reading abilities. You will be shown texts in 3 or 4 passages that are followed by questions that you're supposed to answer. The passages are usually easy, depending on the tests themselves. You will usually find the tests in common academic textbooks or newspapers, and they cover a wide range of topics, including journalistic pieces or first-person accounts. For the listening section, this section tests your ability to understand spoken lectures and conversations. This is a critical part of academic and social success in a foreign country. You will be asked to listen to recordings, usually 3 to 4 lectures or discussions, and then you will be asked to answer the questions that will follow. For the writing part, also the section tests your writing ability. You will be mostly asked to write a summary of an academic discussion and express your opinion on a topic, usually in a form of an essay. This section primarily tests how you organize your thoughts and whether you can write fluent English that would be acceptable in an academic setting. For the speaking part, and this is a part that is completely different in these 2 tests, and I'll talk more about it later on. The section checks whether you can speak coherently on a given topic. This may be broken down into several tasks. Some may take the form of an interview, which is the case in IELTS, but some may require you to listen to a discussion and then write about your opinion on the conversation or what you have heard during that conversation. So let me focus now more on the differences between these 2 tests, and I hope that the presentation can help you choose which tests will work best for you, or which tests will help you for international students in applying to colleges and universities. So according to the Inside Higher Ed, the most significant difference between the 2 tests is how they test for speaking ability. With the IELTS test, the test taker actually speaks with a human being who is trained to evaluate fluency and conversational ability. With TOEFL, the test taker essentially speaks to a computer, since TOEFL is an internet-based test, and the conversation is taped, and then 6 reviewers grade the session. Another distinction is that these 2 tests use different English language dialects, or more precisely, IELTS tends to use the British English, and the TOEFL uses mostly American English. This is very important for everyone who is more comfortable in using British expressions, vocabulary, or accents, or other different vocabulary, meaning if you are more comfortable using the or you have more experience using the British English or Australian English, then IELTS would be a better option for you. TOEFL, on the other side, uses the American English. So if you watch a lot of, let's say, Hollywood movies, or you like US idioms, then TOEFL would be better option for you. Then the other thing that is very important is that these two tests use different types of questions. Multiple choice questions versus coping down. For the reading and listening sections on both of these tests, TOEFL gives you the multiple choice questions, whereas IELTS generally expects for the applicants, for the test takers, to copy down words, word for word. So this is very important for everyone who is considering taking either TOEFL and IELTS. Multiple choice questions tend to require slightly better abstract thinking, but the IELTS favors people who have good memories and think more concretely. In multiple choice questions, it is easy to spot wrong answers, whereas in coping down activities, the applicant just has to find the answer and repeat them. So if you are a concrete thinker, then IELTS would be a better choice for you. Abstract thinkers tend to excel on TOEFL. Then, as I mentioned, TOEFL is an internet-based test, so you won't be speaking to a person when you answer questions on the speaking part. So if you like talking to people, then IELTS will be a better choice for you. But if you want to be alone and not feeling judged, then TOEFL should be your best choice. So this is also very important since it depends how the test taker feels more comfortable doing this part of the test. You might feel better or more relaxed in a conversation. I can understand a variety of dialects in English. I prefer tests with many question types, including multiple choice, fill in the blank, matching, true and false, true or false, and flowcharts. And I feel most comfortable discussing non-academic topics in English. So if you answer these questions with yes, most of them, then IELTS would be a better choice for you. Then the other thing that is very important is the acceptance, or as I mentioned, these are the two most accepted English language tests in the world. So IELTS, at the beginning I said that they're accepted by more than 9,000 institutions all over the world. TOEFL is initially developed at the Center for Applied Linguistics at Stanford University. And IELTS, on the other side, is a British test, so it will be more. You will find that those tests are more, or they have wider acceptance in the countries where they have been developed or where they originate from. If you're a student, I recommend that you should consult the testing requirements of your target universities. Or if you are considering taking IELTS for other purposes than educational, then you should check the information in the countries where you're planning to use this test for. So TOEFL as a test is older than the IELTS, so it's more widely distributed, or have testing centers in all over the world. Both of them have, But TOEFL has a higher number of test centers, 4,500 centers spread across 165 countries. And IELTS, on the other hand, has more than 1,000 centers globally, and it has a center in pretty much every major international city. So when we talk about the types of the tests, TOEFL basically is only one type of test, but IELTS, on the other hand, offers two types of tests. One is academic and the other one is general. And these two variations of the test are also they also have the four sections. They basically are more or less they are very similar, but I will show you later in which parts of the test they differ. But generally, the academic IELTS is usually taken or is a requirement when students or the test takers apply for academic to a university. But the general IELTS is usually is used to meet immigration and some occupational requirements. So that's why IELTS is generally preferred test for immigration purposes to UK, Australia, and Canada. Then the scoring is also different. TOEFL is scored out of 120 points, so each part is scored up to 30 points. IELTS, on the other hand, is graded on a band system from 1 to 9, with where the overall score is being an average of your separate scores in all four tests. This is a chart that is found on the official TOEFL website, ets.org, but it can be very useful if you want to find out of your English language competency at the moment, or English language level, or if you want to compare TOEFL scores with IELTS bands. So let's say if you just wonder what does it mean to have 7 on the IELTS band in terms of scores or points in TOEFL, that's between 94 and 101. But also on the right side of the chart, the abbreviation CEFR, that's the European reference framework that most of the students in Europe might be familiar with, is how you measure, or this is the levels that are used to demonstrate the English language level of proficiency of the students. So if you want to know, let's say, how well you're prepared to take these tests, then you should start with finding your English language level according to this framework. Let's say if you're a B1, then you might score on TOEFL between 57 and 86 points. So I'll talk a little bit about the specific differences in the sections between these two tests. Here you will see that in this chart you will find all the information you need about what the TOEFL IBT test consists of. You see the 4 parts on the left, and then you see the time. Students usually ask me, what does it mean when you see on the reading part that you have 60 to 80 minutes? for that reading part. It means that you can be given between, you never know until you go and take the test, so you can be given between 35 and 56 questions. So your reading part can last up to 80 minutes. And as I mentioned previously, the reading part, especially in TOEFL, means that you will be given 3 or 4 passages from academic tests, and you will be asked to answer specific questions. So I mentioned at the beginning that it is very important for TOEFL that most of the questions that you are required to answer in the TOEFL tests are questions related to, or text related to, academic, university, and classroom-based settings. So either the reading, the listening, the speaking, or the writing part usually will include texts or conversations or topics that are connected with university setting. For the listening part, you will also have 34 to 51 questions, so the listening part can last up to 90 minutes. And you listen to lectures. You can be asked to listen to classroom discussions and conversations between professors and students, or between students, and then you will be given the questions after each section. After the 10 minutes break, you will start with the speaking part. It usually lasts for 20 minutes. It has 6 tasks, and you will be asked to express your opinion on a familiar topic, first of all, and then speak based on reading and listening tasks that you will be given. The writing part lasts for 50 minutes. It has 2 tasks. You will be asked to write 2 essays based on, again, on reading and listening tasks, and write an essay that will support your opinion on a given topic. For the IELTS, you see the 2 formats, the academic and the general test last the same. They both have the same parts, the 4 parts. But they slightly differ in the reading and the writing part. So let's start from the listening part. You can see here that the listening part usually lasts for around half an hour to 45 minutes, and you will be given questions that you will listen to a conversation or some kind of a lecture, and then after each section you will be given questions that you should answer. In the reading part, the main distinction between academic and general IELTS is that in the academic part you will be given 3 very long texts that after which you will have questions that you should answer. The time for the reading part is the same, 1 hour, but in the general IELTS the reading is slightly easier. The reading part, the first 2 texts that you will be given are shorter and easy to comprehend, and only the 3rd text that you're given is longer and more difficult. Then in the writing section, also there is a difference. In the academic IELTS, you will see that you will be asked to discuss in the first part usually a chart, a graph, some kind of a graph or a pie, and give specific information about what you see on the graphs. But on the IELTS general first task, you are asked to write a either formal or informal letter. For the second part, in both formats, in the writing section, you will be asked to write an essay, and in both in IELTS, in both formats, you are given specific number of words that you can use to write these essays and the first tasks as well. So you should write essay and give your opinion in the second part of the writing section up to or with at least 250 words. And then the last part is the speaking part, which usually lasts up to 15 minutes. And you will be part of a live interview with a trained, with an expert who will ask you questions on different topics and evaluate your answers afterwards. So the differences between TOEFL and IELTS are, as you can see from the presentations, are not many, but they are not irrelevant if you are supposed to choose between these two. It depends on where you want to study or work or live. You may choose either of these tests. I would like to mention again that it is my advice that you should check with the target university or the country where you plan to study or work or live. Which of these two tests is required? In most cases, both of them are acceptable, but just in case, you have to check their acceptance. They cost roughly the same, have the same duration, approximately 3 hours. TOEFL is a little bit longer than IELTS, I would say, but it depends on the, I would say, location and the test format. And they both last for 2 years and are offered in centers around the world nearly year-round. So if you want to learn more about how you can register for the tests or find the materials to prepare or find any other information you need about these two tests, I would advise you to go and visit their official websites. You can see the links here. I also find it useful to go to the frequently asked questions section in both of these websites, where you can find answers to a broad range of questions. But I would also like to ask you to visit the official Education USA website, www.educationusa.info, where you can find plenty of information and resources about these two tests. But also you can find useful information through webinars that describe this test in more details and talk about these tests more than I had the chance to present today. Also, if you like to find testing materials for preparing these two tests, you can go to the Education USA centers, especially for TOEFL. In our center in Bitola, we have, and in all the Education USA centers in Macedonia and all over the world, you can find the official test prep materials for TOEFL. So if you have a center near you, or you want to find a center, please visit our official Education USA website for more information. So if you have any questions, I would like you to ask me now. I would be happy to answer your questions. I hope that the presentation helped you and everyone who is interested in these two tests. So feel free to type your questions so I can answer them right away. So there is a question here: does a student from a country like Ghana need any of these tests for admission into any school in US? So I would say that you have to check the requirements of the school, of the university, in the states where you plan to apply. Most of the schools in the states require TOEFL or IELTS as official tests for proving your English language proficiency. So please visit the school website or check with the school if they would require some of these two tests. For materials to learn to prepare for these tests, as I said, please go to their official websites. For TOEFL is ets.org, for IELTS is IELTS.org. I know that there are plenty of materials for free materials for preparation there. But you can also visit some of the Education USA advising centers, where you can find, in most of the advising centers, you can find these preparation materials for TOEFL for free. So if these two tests, here's one question. I have studied English for about 6 years, and it is pretty much my first spoken language at home. Do I need to take TOEFL or IELTS tests? It depends. Why do you need this test? If you are applying, let's say, to a U.S. college or university, then you have to check with the school, as I said, and see if this is a requirement. It is a test that proves English language proficiency for students who come from countries where English language is not an official language or is not your first language. So please check with the institution where you are applying. Here's another question. I got 5 band in IELTS. Is it low? Is it a low band? It depends it depends where you would use the scores for. So please, again, please go back later on in the. You can watch my presentation after this again and see or go to the official website for TOEFL, ets.org, and see the charts that I showed you, where you can compare your band in IELTS with TOEFL results or with general or European English reference framework levels. So you can compare your scores with other IELTS scores, with TOEFL scores, or you can check with the school, the institution where you're applying, and see if, let's say, 5 is good enough. Another question is, could you take both rather than choose between the two? I mean, this is, you don't need to take both of these tests. One will be enough. It depends where and why you need to take this test for. I will just remind you again that TOEFL in general, they are both the most accepted English language tests around the world. So people or test takers usually take those tests for either for applying to colleges and universities in English-speaking countries, or if they need this English language test to prove their English proficiency for immigration or for work-related purposes. So one of them would be enough. IELTS is also accepted in the US. It's accepted worldwide, and please check with the university and see if the specific or your target university accepts both of them. You will find that in most cases the university, let's say in the States, would accept both of them. For all the questions where you have a specific score, let's say in TOEFL, and you wonder whether that score will be good enough to go and study in the States, I would say again, please go and check the specific requirements of that target school. If, for example, the school says that they recommend 100 plus points on TOEFL, then make sure that you fulfill the requirements. There is one question about when the validity of the tests, specifically TOEFL, is over. Do I have to take the test again? Yes. After a 2-year of validity period, you have to, if you need the test again, then you have to retake the test again. Another question, can I take the TOEFL test without having a school to send the score? I mean, these you should consider taking these tests, TOEFL and IELTS, if you have specific requirements. So if you do not have intent to, let's say, apply to a school, then you don't have to. If you don't have a specific requirement, why, or a reason why you should take this test, then it is better not to take the tests. I would also like to point out that TOEFL is both is a test that is both a requirement for an undergraduate studies as well as graduate studies in the States. So it's the same test that you take if you like to apply to undergraduate or a graduate school. Okay. I would like to thank you for your questions and for your attention, and please go and visit the official Education USA website and find more information about not only about TOEFL and IELTS, but all information about how you can apply to US universities and colleges. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a great day.